Well, welcome everyone to our April meeting of the Kent branch of the Ontario Genealogical Society. And it's glad to see so many people here and to welcome some of our snowbirds back. And we have a new member joining up at the back, so we really appreciate everyone's attendance here. And not only here, but those people who are viewing us from their homes or elsewhere, if you're visiting, people watching us online. So I will remind you that we are streaming our meeting, and it will be recorded. And also, I want to remind you that you may be taking photos throughout the meetings each time that we're here, because we want to be able to use things on our website and on our Facebook page. So if you're one of those people who doesn't really want to be in any of the photos, then if you see the camera heading your way, you might want to kind of vacate your chair for a moment and go for a coffee or something. It's easier to do that than to have all of the signed waivers that it's okay to use your picture. So we really do welcome you. We want to remind you that these meetings are also recorded, so that if you are unable at any time to watch them face-to-face like this, that you can go into our Facebook page or online on our website and find the links to go and see them. And if you hear some interesting things tonight and you want to go back and revisit those meetings, please make sure that you go back ahead and check those links as well. Now, I've made extensive notes here because I thought, well, just telling you, and I need to be able to talk fast. So how fast can you listen is usually what I have to say to people. So now, we do want to remind you too that if you are viewing these at home and you get interrupted, the grandchildren suddenly appear for a visit, you can always go back and watch it again and again, or fast forward and find the spot where you left off last time. So we hope that this makes it convenient for you to learn from one another and to learn from the things that are being presented at your Kent branch meetings here. So now, I know we have one new person who was busy a moment ago. Oh, yeah, they've gone out and they're busy doing some registering. If you're a member of the Kent branch of the Ontario Genealogical Society, will you wait? You at home, I hope that you're waiting virtually. So we're glad that you joined us as well. And yes, we've got people still coming in, so come over and join a table that's already got people at it, so you can network and visit. How many people are here but you're not members of the society? And how many people are here for their very first time besides the person who's out in the hallway who's visiting? And we have our guest, Mike Quackenbush, over here. I'm introducing you, Mike, from Hamilton branch. And Mike, maybe you'd just like to tell us a little bit about your role in Hamilton branch and the names perhaps that you're researching. Maybe we have some people who would be interested in that.
What's at the camera?
Microphone, please.
So I am the Vice Chair and Treasurer of the Hamilton branch. I'm also the webinar host for OGS. Most of my research is done towards the Quinte area, the Quackenbush line where Lake Royal is coming into Canada, and beyond that I have the Howell side and Lucas side going back into England. So a lot of my research is also in the UK. So I'm actually excited to check out some census records here in Kent and see if there's maybe a Quackenbush or two here. If you know any Quackenbush in the area, let me know. Thank you.
They'll talk. And thank you for that, Mike. And now, I think they're still in the works here, so we'll talk to our guest afterwards and introduce him as well to that, so we have a chance. The reason we ask is because we want to, and of course, many of these people, I must explain to you that we've got two sets of audiences. Those of you who are saying we already know this, sure, we've been doing every month when we come to the meetings. And we've got those people who are listening online, maybe for the first time, or those who will suddenly discover our recordings and start listening to them and wondering, who is this? So they'll want to know more about us as well. So we always ask people who they're researching, because quite often there will be one of those aha moments, and someone will stand up and say, "You're my long-lost 22,000 cousin," and we need to talk. So do make sure that while you're networking here this evening, and those of you who are at home, if you think that there are connections to our branch, please be sure that you contact us, and we'll talk about our contact information on another slide in just a moment. So now, for those of you, again, who don't know as much about OGS, we really are preserving and promoting family history, the society, preserving it for over, since 1961, the branch since 1978, and we really are promoting and preserving family history. That's really what the branch and the society are all about. The Kent branch, like other branches, and of course there are 33 geographic branches. Could someone answer the phone for us, please? No. And I didn't mention that, for those of you who are online, you may not realize that we are using facilities in the reception center at the McKinney Funeral Home. And we were talking earlier today that we had met years ago in the school, we had met in the community building, we had met in the seniors residence, and now we're in the funeral home. So I'm not quite sure what that's saying to us or notice, but we're happy that McKinney's allows us to use this facility. But our branch does help people with their research. We don't do the research, but we help people with our open shells. We help people who send in research requests. And I have to use my teacher voice instead of the microphone. Will you be able to hear me online if I don't use the mic? Yes, you have to talk loud. I taught grade 8. So let me tell you about that. Okay, and in fact, forget the notes. The 10th branch of the Ontario Genealogical Society does really, and I'm wandering now, our technical person is wandering to turn off the speakers for us. We really do a fine job of helping people with their research in our library. We have a research person, Valerie, at the moment over here, Valerie Butterfield, who handles the research queries that come in, and we've had several come in just recently. And she tries to assist them in letting them know what we have available and how we might be able to help them. So there's a research policy online, of course, on our webpage. We have our quarterly newsletter that Cindy Robichaux puts together right now. Cindy's looking for assistance or a replacement person because she's done it for a while and is looking to move on to some other jobs as well. We're going to talk about volunteering in a minute. Our meetings, like tonight, are the second Friday of the month at 7 o'clock, always here. And so we welcome you here and bring your friends as well, please. And we do have a very great library on the second floor of the Chatham Library in the city of Chatham, Ontario on King Street. So the library hours are from 1 to 5 and open from Tuesday to Saturday, and that's subject to availability. And I must tell you a fast story because I had the April calendar sitting in front of me. I had 2 days left. I'm thinking, I was going to do those 2 days. I've asked everyone. I was all set to try and do 1 or 2 more days myself. And the phone rings, and Lynn Clark, bless his heart, who's returned from Florida, wanted to know if he could do those 2 days that were left on the calendar. And I'm thinking, yes, thank you. So I sent him a hug over the phone. And we do have the month of April filled, but sometimes it's very hard to fill those days. And so if you know that you're someone who would be interested in knowing how to volunteer in our library, we are looking at having some kind of a renewal and a review for people who have been volunteering in the library, and also an opportunity to introduce new people to what it means to actually help others in our library. If you've done your own research, but you've never really shown someone else what's available. And so it is important that we teach other people how to do that. Our contact information is shown on the screen here, and we put that up again because most of the people online might be new to us and don't know that information. And please do feel free to contact us at any of those particular contact points, either the branch website. If it goes to the Kent OGS email address, that comes directly to me right now, and it would be really nice to have someone who would volunteer to monitor that for us too, and pick up mail and those kinds of things, because we've got several people doing 2 or 3 jobs apiece, and some of the jobs are small, and you might be able to do those. And do join us on our Facebook group. How many people have joined us on our Facebook group, at least viewed it or made comments? And if you haven't, try and look us up. That's another thing we're going to do, is trying to have some information sessions on using Facebook so that our own members and our council and our business members have an opportunity to understand how it works and how we can use it to make contact with one another and learn from one another. So we have some upcoming events that are on your screen. We want to make sure that you do take opportunity to come and visit us in May and in June, because we really do have some interesting speakers, and you all know how much of a gold mine the newspapers are. So we have an excellent speaker coming, I believe, from Windsor, you said, Cindy? Yes. Who will be telling us her impressions of how those work, and she's an excellent speaker. And in June 10th, you'll see that we have some people coming to talk about their interesting ancestors, and I've heard a couple of them, and they're interesting always, so you won't want to miss that. And if you're ever here and forget who these are, check us out on our Facebook, check us out on our website, or check us out in the library, because things are posted right there for you to see. And we also have heritage friends. I won't call them partners, because that kind of denotes another kind of a relationship. But we have lots of heritage friends, and one of them is a local group, our Kent Historical Society. So their meetings are mentioned here. I'm going myself. I know on the 19th, Allison Story has a wonderful presentation that talks about veterans from the Chatham-Kent area. She has been to Italy many times, apparently, to find out the information about these soldiers, and so she will be presenting that. And they meet at Studio One in the Cultural Center over near the park, Council Park. Lambton Branch, another branch of our society, has a special session happening in May, and it's called, I guess I can read that part, Reflect, Reconsider, and Rejuvenate. And it just so happens that one of their speakers is here in the room tonight, and that's Mike Quackenbush, who just introduced himself. Now, Mike didn't bother to mention to you that he's from the Hamilton, Burlington, Hamilton area, and he's actually working tomorrow. So he's not staying over in some comfortable room tonight at the retro suites or something. He's heading back to get to work. So we appreciate him being here, and you'll be able to hear him speaking in May when you go to the Lambton event. The Ontario, Chatham, I'm going to do it again, but Kent is, if I work on camera, I want you to know, camera people, this is your fault. If I work on camera, I wouldn't be stumbling over my words here. But the Kent Historical Society is also having a dinner and walking tour in Dresden. And it will be extremely interesting. I know I'm going to it myself. I know Darren French, who's also a Historical Society member, will be going. And so we could certainly carpool, and it's coming up soon. You need to make sure you contact Cindy by May the 6th so that she knows. And then you'll be asked to pay ahead of time, because we all know what it would be like to have people commit to something and then get stuck paying for it because they don't come. So do let us know if you're interested in that. The conference. How many have ever been to an Ontario Genealogical Society conference? I'll put it way up. So there are a few who have never been. If you have never been, it's quite an experience, and it often depends where it is, how big it is. And this year it happens to be in Toronto. The Toronto branch is hosting it. And it's at the International Plaza Hotel, which is right out near the airport, so it's easy to get to for a lot of people. And I don't know, those of you who are members, if you've been monitoring your e-weeklies that come through from OGS, but we have hit an all-time high already at the early bird cutoff date, which was May the 15th, pardon me, March the 15th, of 650 people. And we were at the very conference last year, we had 500 people there. And we had to beg, borrow, and steal to find 500 people to come, because it was a little more out of the way. Wonderful conference, but the Toronto aspect makes it easier to get to. So if you are interested, there are, well, I didn't put them out, I thought they got forgotten. I have flyers that talk about the conference. There are 42 speakers from the United States, Canada, across the pond. There are workshops on Friday, 1-hour sessions on Saturday and Sunday. Our AGM is being there for the society. They have tours, and other organizations having things on the Thursday and Friday. So lots to do, lots to learn about genealogy. It's called Genealogy on the Cutting Edge. So you know there are going to be lots of things new to genealogists. You know, how many think they're done their genealogy? Or how many thought they were done until they realized they're never done? And there are always new ways to learn how to do that. And so even though you're one of those people who think you're pretty much done, there's always something new and a new way to discover things. I know we were having that conversation before people started to arrive. So do check it out. I'll put the information out there when our speakers start, so you have it there to pick up on your way out. And now, actually, I'm going to flip, oh no, maybe I won't flip forward. Well, yes, I am. I'm going to stay right where we are. I'm one of those people, I'm caught in between as to what order to do things, and depending on the reports that we have. You know that we have a council of people that you elected or claimed because you did run against them at last month's meeting. And you know that you have people who became council coordinators or council chairs of committees. We don't have any committees. We only have those council chairs and coordinators. So that's where some of the volunteerism comes in. So our society is dependent upon volunteers, whether it be here at the local level or at the provincial level. And we're really as much a service group as we are a group that expects benefits back from our society. So those of you who have ever volunteered for this organization or for any organization, I want you to take a minute and think about when you started. What was the first moment that you thought, oh, I should help with that? And I want you to think about why you decided to do that, and what it was that you first offered to do, and what your first task was. And I know myself, I can look over here and see Lynn Clark. I walked into the library the first time I ever went outside of my own home to investigate genealogy. And Lynn happened to be sitting across the table from me. He happened to be one of the experts for Lambton County, because here I was sitting in the Chatham Library, but I wanted to know information about Lambton too. And he introduced me to other people, and all those people helped me learn how to research my family in this area online using other areas. The volunteers were extremely useful. So for me, I suddenly said one day, I need to give back to the organization that helped me. I'm sure that each of you has a story too about why you volunteer. Each of you has a story about what you get out of the volunteer. I think volunteers are like genealogists. You either are one or you're not. And my husband's really glad the genealogy is being done. He doesn't want to do it. And there are people who are really glad that somebody else is volunteering. And there are others that just is not their bailiwick. There's no in between, is there? You either are or you aren't. But if you're one of those people who could be, then I encourage you to think about what you have to offer. We would help find small or larger jobs. I've already had a couple of people approach me tonight about some things that they might be interested in doing. And that would make the role much easier, and we could get many things done. I'm going to talk about a couple of things that council has to report to you tonight. But I wanted to tell you that the other night we just had our meeting at the end of March. I think it was the 28th or 29th of March. And I was sending out something to them by email. And I'm just going to kind of recap some of the things that had happened since we saw each other 9 days ago. And the list is getting longer and longer and longer and longer because they are the Energizer Bunnies. They don't stop. Sometimes, you're sitting there at 1 o'clock in the morning because you just can't go to sleep because you're thinking about this idea, or you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning because you were thinking about it anyway. And you'll start to send out an email, and lo and behold, somebody else on the council answers you. That's a scary thing. But that's because there are so many things to do and so much energy in this council that's working on your behalf. And I encourage you to be a part of, I'm getting a buzz just talking about it. I encourage you to be a part of that group, because it really is an exciting opportunity to give back to the organization that helped you and to use the skills that you developed either in your personal life or as a volunteer in other organizations or in your work life. So now, as far as reports go, I'm going to call on Valerie to give us a brief update on the financials. I taught in the kindergarten too. I taught their language of financials. So Valerie's going to give us a brief update on that, and you'll have to use your teacher or your nurse's voice or something.
I work with seniors.
There you go. Very good, Valerie.
Now, I'm good.
Can you talk as fast as me? It's the next
No.
question.
I wear 2 hats, and this is my treasurer's hat. The Canadian account has a balance at the end of March of $16,757.87. During the month of March, we received $25.55, and we spent $784.32. And the American account now sits at $2,282.73. We received $593.01 and spent $0. That was a publication sale to Mid-Continent Library in Minnesota. Is it Minnesota?
We sent out a big order. Right?
Yeah, big order. An American funds. Mind you, this is American funds in the American account. So nice. My other hat is the research hat, and we've had a few. We've had 2 in the last month or so, but they were both for publication sales. One side corresponded with them; they wanted to buy, so it went to Fran, and Fran, after we got paid, sent the money out, or sent the publications out. So it's not been extremely busy on the research side, but I find a lot of times people want something for nothing, and when you respond and say, please go and look at our website and see what our policy is, and how much it is and what we'll do for that amount of money, I never hear from them again. So I can't do any more than that. That's it. Any questions? Okay.
Can we get a motion? I was gonna say, we have a motion.
Do you want a motion?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
I move the adoption of my report.
And Linda says it is.
What is going on?
Excuse us, sorry.
Sorry, we have to start the meeting over again. We just have two late arrivals come in, and that would be Steve Diana Fulton from St. Catharines, so I'm sure we're going to work again tomorrow as well, right?
Yes,
Yes, so they just dropped in. Very nice to see you.
thank you.
Nice to see
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Actually, they're checking up on me. They knew this was my first time being the chair, and I want to make sure the meetings are going smoothly. So, I'm just joking. But just quickly going on with the reports, we had a mover, we had a seconder, and all those in favor of receiving the treasurer's report on ballot, anyone opposed? And I thank those people who are non-members for recognizing that this was a member issue. And speaking of member issues, Jane Teskey, who is our membership coordinator from, actually lives in Lambton County, tells me that we have 159 members, and that's up 4 just since March. So that's growing. And speaking of members and others, I'm going to pass around the library calendar for you to sign in for the month of May. We know the month of April is finished, thanks to Vin, but we're looking for people to volunteer in the month of May. And if you are not one of our usual volunteers, let me know, because I would like very much to add you to our list of people who might want to be trained to do that. Take this over here, taking that and passing it along. And speaking of the volunteer, oh wait, before that calendar goes anywhere, I'm probably going to buy for Cindy Weil. I should have warned you, Cindy, okay, teach kindergarten and grade 8, you go from one extreme to the other. My non-chair hat is on when I started to head out the door, because I've been running around doing all kinds of things to get ready for the meeting, but I forgot about the Tim Hortons card, because our volunteers on the month, Tim Hortons card, so I have no idea what the rest of the names are. We'll find out, but I do have the Tim Hortons card. So the lucky winner is Donna Barnhart. Oh, no. Okay, so we'll make sure that Donna gets that. But do sign up, those people who are always are volunteers, and we'll take care of that. Now, just quickly, I also have 2 announcements for you. I want to let you know, if you did not already know, that Barb Luckham, a longtime member, her husband passed away just recently, and the obituary is on the welcome table at the back, if you wish to check that out and make your regrets known. And also, I want to let you know that the genealogy classes that we're offering, the series of 3 classes, is actually full. And then Madison is coordinating that. So those classes will be starting. What's the beginning date again? On the 18th. Before the 18th. And we have a waiting list. And we have a waiting list already. And it was also brought to me, Ian Clark mentioned this, that the McKinley Funeral Home actually does an extremely good planning ahead smart choice workshop for people who are interested in knowing more about funerals and what paperwork and what happens after the funeral, so that your families are not left in the dirt. We often think about our families for our ancestors and already gone, but we don't often think about what happens when we go and what our families are going to be dealing with. So there is a piece of information here that you might want to check out, and I'll leave. And then, Helen highly recommended that because they had attended it themselves. And I believe those are all the reports and notes that I was given earlier. As I mentioned, our counselor does lots of things. They wrote about it in the community. And Buxton, Judy and Linda were there for the opening, for the launch of the book called A Fluid Frontier. And I really wish that I had not had a family event that day. I would love to have been there. It's an excellent event. Wonderful authors, wonderful panel discussion, and watch for these opportunities. We try to post them on our website and on Facebook and let you know about them. So if you're able to attend, you can. And the John Brown Festival is coming up on May the 7th. It will be at the Wish Center, and the website for that is the Chatham Black Historical Society, so just CKBHS. And we encourage you again, as one of our heritage friends, to go ahead and visit that and be a part of their community as well. And I think, Cynthia, that finally brings us down to the end of my comments. And I was told I had to be off the floor at 7:30, so we have 1 minute and counting.
I just have a question. Last year they streamed the annual meeting from Charles at the conference. Are they doing that this year?
Yes, we are. You're welcome.
You said a good thing that we came in. I was pretty sure that you were, but I didn't want to say yes.
Yes, we are.
So tonight we do have the fabulous 5, or rather the fabulous 4.5. Because unfortunately Donna Dixon is ill this evening, but she did send her PowerPoint show. So her other half, Cindy, is going to read the notes for that one again. But again, wonderful genealogical tools that are going to be presented by our own people that they've discovered that are really valuable, whether you are a brand new researcher or a veteran researcher. Now, before I move on, we have a new member with us today. Would you mind standing up and telling people your name so that they know how to welcome you?
We've all done it.
Hello. We've all been there, but we welcome you. He was telling me that he's done lots of family research and he's really interested in finding out more and new skills and things to learn. So we welcome you to this meeting and we look forward to seeing you at more.
What families, what families.
So you have someone introducing?
You.
It's me. Oh, I'm a new user. You can tell I'm waving at the people online. You can tell that I'm new to this, and I thought all about the meeting and all the things I wanted to say. I forgot about everything else that anybody wanted to say. So tonight we have the fabulous 5, and the first of the fabulous 5 is going to be Cindy Robichaux. Cindy, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Cindy, are you being Donna or are you being Cindy?
I'm being Donna.
Oh, pardon me.
So just so I
This
know.
would be Donna Dixon, alias Cindy Robichaux.
I guess we're gonna try the mic again.
Okay, give it a go. Thank you.
Jill is actually monitoring online as well what's happening online. So if you hear little things or you see things, just try to keep an eye on what's going on for us. It was working fine in the test run, so of course. Check.
Yeah.
As Shirley mentioned, this is not my PowerPoint or my presentation. This is Donna's. She's a longtime branch member. I asked her if she had any tips or tricks or tools that she thought that she would like to share with the group. And she did. She sent me a PowerPoint presentation, and we were all set to go. And then today she informed me that she is very, very ill. So lo and behold, her husband ran in a script, per se, and I will just read her notes to you. So Donna's tool or tip or family research source that she really likes to go to is a tablet. Does anyone here have a tablet? So you're ahead of me. I don't have a tablet. Do you use it for family history research? So you have a tablet, but you haven't used it. So that's great. So Donna's going to show you how she uses hers. The tablets, she has the Asus T100HA. And it's the tablet that has a detachable keyboard, and that is usually how she uses it. It is a Windows 10 operating system. Microsoft came with it. As the storage on the disk is not very large, she is saying I, so I'm going to say I have set it to save all my photos in a micro memory card. The photos you take are easily transferred to another computer. Why is she using the tablet versus a camera or a scanner? Faster than scanning. It's portable for a road trip. You can take whole screenshots, for example, of tombstones. It's simple. You don't have to adjust any of the camera settings on it. And no need to put the original document through a scanner. Some of her research tips. It's much faster to photograph the tablet than run back and forth to the photocopier at the library. There's an immediate preview, I guess, that shows you what you scanned so you can see the quality and if you need to rescan again. The only downside she mentions is that the lighting sometimes can be a problem. I would never give up scanning my precious documents, she says, for example, marriage certificates, into the best copy that I can. But she has scads of clippings and copies from books and censuses and correspondence that she has been able to access, but not necessarily they've been in the pristine form. These photos here are photos that she has found online. So this is an example of a book that she found online, but the whole book wasn't available, just a few pages. So she photographed the pages that she needed, and then she kept the information of where she gathered it from for sourcing. This is another example. Sometimes it's very difficult to download these books or to print a page or two. So she holds the tablet up to the computer and she takes a photograph of it. This is an example of how you can record information or photos out of the book without photocopying. And again, she mentions make sure that when you put the source in your picture. Scrapbooks. Newspaper clippings. This is an example of a newspaper, a clipping out of a newspaper that she found online, and she photographed it with her tablet as a screenshot, and then she cropped it. This is an example that she did the same thing with a census record from online. Copies of wills that she's found. Who doesn't have a bunch of funeral cards, wedding invitations, etc.? If you come across someone somewhere and it only takes a click to make it large enough to read and to copy it. This is an example of a larger newspaper sheet that she found online. She had a problem blowing it up bigger online with the tools that were on the screen that came with the online functions. So she took a picture of it with her tablet, and she was able to enlarge it, and she says it actually made it more clear than what it was actually online. Last but not least, tombstones. So the whole screen on my tablet is filled with this image of the tombstone. There's no fussing. I simply just transfer it over to my main computer. As always, any photo that you take will have no meaning if you don't name it or tag it with the relevant information. I just take a little notebook and a number, and I number the photo so that I know where I found it, and I can put the sourcing with it. I never dreamed that 34 years ago when I started, not me 34 years ago. I haven't been at it that long. Never dreamed 34 years ago that when I started family history, started tracing my relatives, that before I was done, that I would have all these new electronic goodies to use. And that's her little portion. Any questions? I probably can't answer them, but there's very techy folks in the room that probably could answer them. Great, thank you. Next, we'll have Merv come up. And he's going to share his tip.
Greetings, everyone. Can anybody hear me without this thing? Good. I did turn it on. Never liked them. Is this yours?
Just make sure you speak very, very loud for the folks at home.
I will speak very loud. Anyway, I want to welcome our people from out of town, and I want to give everybody greetings. How many people here have run into language barriers in their genealogy research? Great. How many people here have found a solution to them? That's good. Great. How many people have used Google Translate? Good. You're probably more expert at it than I am. A few years ago, I was researching my daughter-in-law's family, and they are of Russian descent. One line got caught up in the Bolshevik Revolution, ended up through various parts of Europe. The other line got caught up in World War II, and I managed to track them down to a displaced persons camp or refugee camp. And they went through 3 or 4 different countries. So in my research, I found it necessary to send queries out to various government and archival type organizations in order to retrieve or just find them. And once I did, I was quite enthused. And over the course of a year, I thought I got fairly proficient with using Google Translate. So anyway, is it ready to go? Whoops. Okay. So Google Translate, there are two components to Google Translate. One is web page translation, and the other is text translation. Text as in emails, documents that you might prepare, but also documents that you might receive because you want to take them back into your English language. Can everybody see that? For web page, yeah, it's a little small. I was concerned about that. For web page translation, you can go to Google Translate, and don't worry about taking notes. I've got copies of this, and I'll just put right out here for you to pick up at the end. It's a little bit like a cookie recipe. You just follow one step after the other, and you really can't go wrong on it. But anyway, if you're going to translate an entire web page, you queue in translate google.com, or there's a sister version of it, or you just put Google Translate into your question box, into your query box in your browser. And once you get that, I don't see it, there's a very large line, blank is where you simply put the URL for the website that you want to translate. You will choose the language that you're translating it into. You do not have to choose the language it's in. Google will check that and determine that, so that you just push the button and up comes the website. Now, not everything is perfect. If it's a PDF, it won't be translated, or if it's a graphic and there's embedded text in it, that text will not be translated. If you're really doing it a lot, you can get a add-on translate button right from Google and embed that into your browser toolbar. Another aspect is the translation of text. And what I do, I will open up my word processing program, which is MS Word, and I will type out a neat little paragraph or whatever I'm doing in English, and certain things you need to keep in mind. Avoid slang, avoid words that have multiple meanings, and avoid idioms, things that mean different than they're written. And you want to keep it simple, you want to keep it to the point, and avoid literary fluff, as I call it. Once you get your document prepared in English, then you open up your Google Translate page. And there's actually two components to that. There's a source side, or source language, and the destination language. Whoops. Okay, you choose, in this case I chose English as the source, and I put French as the destination one. Once you get one page open, at the very top of your browser, you will note, I think, how many here know what it means to have a tab at the top? Anybody not know? Okay. Where you have the HTTP at the top of your browser, off to the right, you'll find a little square. In my case, mine is gray. Click on it, and your browser opens up again so that you can actually go in there and open up another page for Google Translate. So what you'll be able to do is tab back and forth, toggle back and forth. You have to do this. You have to multitask. So open up a second page, and on that second page, you do the exact reverse. Your source page is French, and your destination page is English. But you're going to have to maximize or minimize, depending on the type of browser you have, or tab. So once you have that, you open up your document again where you've written your MS Word page, and you highlight, copy, and then you'll open up your English to French web page, and you insert and paste the English section, which should be right there. As you're pasting that, instantaneously, the French version appears. There will be changes that you will note. In this case, they changed the spelling of the surname. And they didn't change it right. So you know Google's not perfect. And below the English portion, the part in blue, that is where Google kind of interprets what you're trying to say, and they'll actually put their own version of what you've said. And you got to watch that, because sometimes their version is not the same as your version. So the next thing you do, you highlight the French side. Then, once you do that, you open up the French to English page, and you paste the French into the source side. Immediately upon doing that, the English version appears. And it's at this point you realize whether you've done a good made a good translation or not. In my case, I've had some errors. I put little arrows there. In one case, the name was spelled wrong. In the other case, it just didn't make sense. It seemed to scramble when it was coming back into English. So that tells me that I had a problem in the first place, taking it from English into French, because then it didn't bring it back. And what I had done in this particular case, I had referred to something we always use in English, World War I. Well, when it went to the French side, it showed premiere. I got that. That means got to be something about first or one, so that part's right. But when it came back into English, it was scrambled. It didn't make any sense. So what I did then, I went back to my original Word document, and I changed World War I to First World War. Things went much better next time. So you make these changes accordingly. And of course, number 6, that's what it said to do. Number 7, once you have your next version, you simply paste and go back through the process. You may have to repeat this again and again and again until you get an exact translation. Finally, once you've got your few sentences the way you want them in your Word document, the one that you initially wrote, scroll down to the bottom of it and put below it a heading, French version, and below that, paste, and you'll paste in your French version. Then you choose the next few sentences of English, and you go through the entire process. And you'll do that again and again and again. And at the very end, what you're going to have is a Word document with a really good English version, exactly as you want it at the top. And below that, French or whatever language that you've chosen, and it will be a reasonably accurate version. Now, I have probably done this, if I said 60 or 70 times with various countries in Europe, Russia, Ukraine, and those people have a different alphabet. It's Cyrillic. Google handled it really well. Poland, Germany, France, Belgium, and even Estonia. They don't even have a 2 million population, and yet you can still work with their language. So that works out quite well. And of course, you can use it for doing emails as well. Now, another neat trick that I've done, and I've done it very effectively, and I started it essentially because my daughter-in-law's great-grandfather in one of the lineages was an employee of Tsar Nicholas II, and he worked in the imperial stable. Don't know whether it was the imperial stable in St. Petersburg or the imperial stable at the farm. So, and I get a feeling he didn't use a fork and a broom or a shovel. Because when the Tsar was executed, this gentleman learned that there was a murder plot to eliminate him. So he fled with his family and became one of many thousands of Russians known as White Russians living just outside of Paris. So I wanted to find information out about the imperial stable. More importantly, I wanted to get a roster of a list of employees that the Tsar had. I could put into the search box as far as blue in my face in English, Tsar Nikolai II, imperial stable, employees. I would get a few websites. So using the text translation, I put together just a few words in English, translated them into Russian, then took those words, went to my main search page and stuck them in the Google search box, and every page, every website that I got was in Russian. So then I used the process, as in the first part, to go through that and have that entire web page show up in English. Was I successful? I think so. It took me a long time, probably 5 or 6 months, and I turned a little grayer, but we did go through, we went through hundreds and hundreds of websites in Russian translated, and finally I got to one that listed the employees of the Tsar in the imperial stable. That's not a small thing. They had over 200,000 horses in the imperial stable, and he had 1,000 employees. Now, when I did get the list, it was in a PDF. So this was no good. But in the interim, I had been able to recognize the characters that represented Dmitry Kalinin, my daughter-in-law's great-grandfather. And so I could go through that PDF, and I found him. Only problem is, I found him 3 times. So with that name working for the Tsar in the stable, so that's as far as I got. So anyway, I think that's it for this. Any questions before I think I used up? Yes.
There is nothing that you're aware of then, or there's no way that we can translate PDF documents?
Yes, I did. When I was dealing with the Ukraine, what I found, like when I sent my emails up, I sent out the Google version, translated version, and then I had another little statement that I made up saying, I apologize because my Ukrainian or whatever is not, I'm not of that language, and I'm using Google Translate, so I apologize for the errors or weird sayings, and I always follow it up with the English version as well. I found that in Germany I did that, and my response came back in perfect English. I found the same in Belgium. But in Ukraine, I wasn't that way. And what I got back from Ukraine was a PDF. And the Cyrillic language is just altogether different than ours. But they have a couple nice websites where you can actually go in and learn Ukrainian, and you can do the same with Russian. And that shows you the letters. And you can actually cut those letters and paste them into Microsoft Word, build up that whole paragraph, and then highlight, copy, and paste that into this Google Translate and get it translated into English. And I've done that. I had the one response in, it was the Russian Orthodox Church in one of the provinces or states of the Ukraine that sent me back with PDF. And I was able to translate it. I was about 40% happy because obviously
Well, you got the gist of it.
I got the gist of it. Oh yeah.
Depends how desperate you are.
That's right. But anyway, on the whole, what I feel is if you just go through it once and you don't verify it and coming back and doing it a second time, you will not be happy with your translation. You're going to look at that and say, what's this? And you're not going to respond to it. But if you go back and forth, you can get, I think, very good version. So anyway, the copy's up there if anybody wants this recipe.
The next person that we have going to share some tips is branch member Colleen LeVay. She's going to speak to us about a few other Google tips and tricks.
So first, Homer, thank you very much for the translate. I have to share, and I hope that Shirley's not listening in the future, but my youngest boy is in French immersion. They're not supposed to use Google Translate for their homework. I caught them several times. Because that's it. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about Google search, advanced research tips, and Cindy was very nice to do some handouts for me. Those there for you. So first of all, show of hands, and I see a lot of hands. How many people use Google search? That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Question, and the technical committee over here is not allowed to answer. Does anyone know how old Google search is? Google search came out in 1999, so it's 17 years old. And I think clearly it has had a profound impact on many areas, but definitely in the research area. I like to call it the Swiss Army knife of genealogical research, because you can do so much of it. I'm going to go through the sort of basic tips because over 17 years, Google has evolved and changed. And something you may have used 10 years ago, you may not have to do the same way now. I'm also going to take you through some cool things that you can use Google for. And in the process, you're going to learn a little bit about me and a little bit about the family that I'm searching for, which is, can you hear me? I don't have a good voice. I'm going to try it. So you'll learn a little bit about the family that I'm researching, which is primarily Dolson and Cullum, both local. I'm very fortunate that there's lots of information in the library. Can you hear me? Awesome. All right, so let's start with Google Basics. And you're going to see some samples in there, which will have my ancestors. So first of all, these are the do's, the things you should do. Use precise words to get good results. If you use too many words, you're not going to get good results, and if you don't use enough, you're going to get way too many results. So try and stick with specific, precise words. And there is an assumption that the word "and" is in each of those words. So you don't have to put "and" in. The most important words should be at the beginning, because as Google starts to filter through the results, it's going to use the words in the order that it sees them. If you do want to get specific and you want to do an exact match, use double quotes and enclose the words that you want an exact match on in double quotes. If you are unfortunate to have a common name that could be associated with other things, such as the Fox family, imagine what you would get if you searched on the Fox family. You can use dashes or the negative sign to exclude certain terms. So in this case, I would exclude Fox the animal, Fox News, Fox Sports, and try and narrow down the search results to something that I want to look for. If you are looking for a range, you can use two values with double periods in between. It can be a range of dates, a range of dollar amounts, a range of some sort of measurement, and it will search for that range. If you want to search on a specific website, such as Ancestry or Family Search, you can include the site name as part of your search, and it will look just in that website. And if you are not sure of the spelling, or you're positive that the records are going to have the spelling in different forms, you can use the asterisk as a wildcard and just replace the characters you're not sure about with an asterisk, and it can stand for more than one character. Some of the things you don't need to do. First of all, don't phrase your query as a question by putting in who, what, where, look, find. Those are words that Google will, first of all, ignore. And secondly, it may actually impact the quality of the results that you get. Do not worry about upper or lowercase. Google doesn't care, except for one word, and that's the word or. And it's because it's an operator. It's going to search for something or something else. And if you put in the word or in capitals, it understands that that's what you need. Don't worry about singular or plural forms of a word. Google has gotten really smart, and it will search for both. It's so smart, it will actually also search for synonyms of the same name. And don't worry if you're not sure about the spelling. Go ahead and search, because Google will attempt to help you and will suggest alternate spellings, and usually it has the right one. So those basics are on the handout. Now I want to go into the cool stuff. So first of all, let's start with definitions. I have a dictionary. It's actually my mother's dictionary that she gave to me. So it's at least 30 years old. It's pretty thick and pretty heavy, and it's not by my computer, so it's not something I want to use. But if I want to find a definition, I can use Google to do that. This is a marriage notice for my third great-grandfather, John Colburn Dalton, and he married Miss Mariah Scarlett, who would be my third great-grandmother, a young lady of amiable accomplishments. They were married on Wednesday, the 2023D Ultima. Now, I'm sure somebody in this room knows what that means. I don't know what this means. But I can ask Google by just typing in define Ultima. And Google comes back and tells me that that means of last month. Ultima means of last month. So I now know they were married on the 23rd day of last month. And the article was dated in December, so they must have got married in November. Conversions. How many people know how to convert chains to feet? I knew there'd have to be one. I do not. So I get out my Swiss Army knife called Google. This is a little excerpt from my fourth great-grandfather's will. And it's in cursive writing, which I still know how to read. Let's see what it says. Commencing near the center of the something lot 14 at the center of a large walnut tree. And then you're heading northeast, something 75 chains. I want to know what chains, what do chains mean? And I'm a walker. I walk my dog every night, and we usually travel about 3 kilometers. So I want to know what chains are versus kilometers, because I understand how much a kilometer is. So I'm going to ask Google. I type in 75 chains to km. That's what I'd like you to convert. And Google will come back and tell me that 75 chains equals 1.5 kilometers. Okay. You can do this with any measurement. Just go ahead and put it in, it will convert it. I'm going to show that.
Did you have to specify surveyor's chain?
I did not specify surveyor's chain, and I think it would be great for you to try that.
All right.
And report back to us at next week.
Yes, and report back. Pronunciation. That's something else that Google can do. This is my 5th great-grandfather, Isaac Dolson, and he was born in, it looks like it should be Poughkeepsie. It's spelled Poughkeepsie, Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County, New York. I'm not sure that that's really the way that it's pronounced, and I don't know who to ask. I don't know anybody here, so I'm going to ask my friend Google. By typing in pronounced Poughkeepsie, Google will come up with a video. Now, I cannot play the video, but if I did, it would actually tell you how it's pronounced. And it's actually pronounced Poughkeepsie, is the proper way to pronounce it. I would not have known that by looking at it because the wonderful English language doesn't make any sense sometimes. But Google helped me out by telling me how to pronounce Poughkeepsie. Interactive maps. Google is really strong in this area. So now that I know that my fifth great grandfather was born in Poughkeepsie, I would like to visit there. And so I'll go ahead and type Poughkeepsie in the Google search bar. And instead of the 17 million results, I'm going to click on the second tab, which is maps. And instead what I get is an interactive map of Poughkeepsie. And you may not be able to see it, but it actually outlines the borders of Poughkeepsie, which is, I'm sure, part of a larger area now. And I found out that it sits on the Hudson River, so I have a pretty good idea of where it is. It also shares some information about the weather, some of the things that are nearby. Where it becomes interactive is that I've decided I'm going to visit Poughkeepsie. And I want to do some research, so I'd like to find out where I could find some archives, some records. So I just go back up to that little search bar and I ask for, what do I ask for? Historical archives near Poughkeepsie. And it's now highlighting where I would find those archives. And what I can see is Dutchess County Historical Society. I might want to visit there. And the Reformed Church of Poughkeepsie. I definitely want to visit there because that's where my ancestor was married. I can go one step further and ask for family history near Poughkeepsie, and I will find that there are 2 family history centers very close by. I'm still on the same map, so it's interactive. You can just keep asking questions. There's also Google Images, and this is the one that I think was the most surprising to me, what you can find. And the example that I'm going to use is my grandfather. And the reason that I searched on my grandfather is that he was, he used to carve, did duck carvings. And for whatever reason, the family doesn't have very many of the duck carvings. They have maybe 1 or 2. But we know that there's lots more out there. And someone shared with me that someone was selling one online. Now, I could have gone so far as to put in his name in duck carvings. I just put his name in just because I wanted to see what I would find. And I noticed what came back first were some pictures of duck carvings. I clicked on the images button, and it went so further into actually showing pictures of specific duck carvings, as well as a picture of my grandfather, which is the second picture up there. And the prize that I got was the picture that I zoomed in on, which are actually crow carvings. And he was one of the very few that actually did crow carvings. They were on sale, or for sale on eBay, and they sold for $350. So I didn't get to buy them, but now I know that they're selling on eBay. And I now routinely search and look for my grandfather's duck carvings. So those are just a few of the cool things you can do with Google. There are so much more. We could do a whole hour on it. But there were some links to some websites on the page that you received, and there's tons more information that you can get from that. Those are the sources that I used that you also have on your sheet. Questions? Anyone have any questions? Yes.
A dash to exclude words. I have a French family. Family name is the same as the name for a lawyer, you know, in French. And so if I put that family name in, which is Graf,
I get all these law firms.
You should definitely try it. Try to exclude it with the.
So I would say exclude lawyers?
Oh, yeah, because I'm writing in English.
Yes.
Is that a space and then the minus sign, or is it a space dash space?
There is a space between what you're searching on and the minus sign, but there's not a space after.
That I thought.
If you look to, where's the little pointer here? This one here, support.google.com, that link will actually take you to the most current help screen for Google search, and it lists all of the cool little tips that you can use, including that one. I only picked out maybe half of them. There's another half a page there. Any other questions? Cindy?
Thanks, Colleen. Donna had actually offered to submit 2 things that she finds very helpful for family history research. This is more family history research organization. This is a makeup bag. So she has all her bits and pieces, and I have to do this because I have everything in a bag and in plastic bags, in baggies. So this is a tip that I definitely will be using. So this is an example of what she's using right now. And this is another example of what she had started with at the beginning, and she kind of advanced a little bit. So that's her other tip, is to organize using these handy dandy little bags. Dollar store. At the dollar store. Thanks, Linda. And now finally you do get me. For real. And for real. So lastly, I'd like to talk about one of my favorite family history resource tools that I use all the time, social media. I am by no means an expert, and now that we have experts in the room, they might be able to answer many more questions than I can, but I just wanted to touch just briefly on the tip of a few things that you can do with some of the social medias that our branch are using, and just to remind you that we are using 2 platforms. So as a branch, we use Facebook and we use YouTube. So we have, as Shirley alluded to, we have a fantastic Facebook group. And we also have a YouTube channel. These 2 tools are free, and we all love free. So Facebook, you might ask, how do I use Facebook for family history? Like I said, I'll just tell you a little bit of how I use it. I use Facebook as a resource tool. I don't look to see what my cousin ate for breakfast or who has new shoes, or I have none of that on my Facebook. I use it specifically for searching for and joining groups around the world that have to do with my ancestors. So this is an example. I have Irish ancestors. So in the search bar, at the top there, you can put the same as Google, basically anything that you're looking for on Facebook. So I searched, and obviously there was a family history group in the county that my ancestors are from, so then I asked to join it. The sheer number of people that are in these Facebook groups, there's thousands in each group. So those are people that you can ask questions of, you can connect, you can chat. It's almost like the old school of the way message boards used to be, or the forums used to be. Secondly, how I use them is I use Facebook to go fishing for cousins. In the search bar again, put the surname of the person you're looking for. Everybody's on Facebook now, or everybody's children or grandchildren are on Facebook. I've had really, really good luck. Even if I'm looking for somebody who's maybe, you know, an older senior, they have grandchildren that might be able to link you to that grandpa or grandma. So again, I just typed in the surname, and it pops down everybody that has that, and there's tons more. But the nice thing about this is that actually if they put in where they're from, you can kind of get a feel for if that's the person in Australia that you might be interested in, then just send them a private message. That's as simple as that. It's basically going through the phone book and calling every Smith that's in a town. Thirdly, the other way I use it is I connect with people of the same interest. I'm from Wheatley, so obviously my ancestors are from Wheatley. Almost every town has a page about if you grew up in Wheatley, or if you're from Wheatley, or if you're from Chatham, or those are really, really great groups to join, because right now, we are all on Facebook doing this. So I found one that had growing up in Wheatley, so I joined it, asked to join it. And again, there's over 1,600 people in this group. So in this group is where I have found pictures, history of Wheatley that I didn't even know, and I lived there my whole life. So it's just another way to share with people who are interested in the same thing. This is our Kent branch group. And the last little tip that I'll leave you with for Facebook that I really like is that they archive posts. So if you are on Facebook and you remember seeing somebody said something really great about Bridgetown, and was that 6 months ago or was that last week, it will take you a long time because there's lots of posts. Everybody's sharing. It'll take you a long time to scroll down and try to find that post that you want to look at again. So in the search bar on the side, you guys all know this. Just type in what you're looking for. And then Facebook will go and it will pull up every post that has that word in it and who posted it. So in this example, I typed in Ridgetown and it pulled up, there's many, many more, but it pulled up all the posts that somebody had mentioned something about Ridgetown. So then I could go back and reread it, or I could connect with that person and say, hey, I found ancestors there now, can you and I chat? So that's just a few things that I use Facebook for. YouTube. When I first heard about YouTube, it was through my children when they were teenagers. They were posting or uploading videos of themselves singing and riding their bikes and doing tricks. And I originally thought that's wonderful, but there's no way that that's of interest to me. Well, I was wrong. To me, right now, how I'm using YouTube is, to me, it's Google in video form. I'm a visual learner, so to have somebody actually show me what to do instead of me having to read what to do about it, it's fantastic. This is a YouTube stream for an account. And again, just like Google, there is literally a YouTube video about everything. If you like dogs, if you like knitting, if you, everything and anything. So I typed in how to sew a button. So your topic will come up and then all the related videos will pop up and you can choose which one you want to watch. So the nice thing about YouTube is you can pause it, you can rewind it, you can watch it over again. And the other great thing about YouTube is mostly folks just like you and I, walking you through how to do something. So it's very down to earth. But you ask, how would you use that for family history? Well, again, I find that if you are looking to learn something, how to do something, can I do something, how does this work? YouTube is great for that. It's having your teacher right in your own home. So I typed in how to organize your family history. So up pops all the videos that were related, and I could go in and watch to my heart's content. And again, these are folks, just like you and I, that are sharing tips, walking you through how they organize their family history. One of the other features are the subscriptions. Now, people or groups, if they have multiple videos, instead of them just floating out on the internet, you can actually make your own channel, which is equivalent to having a group. And you subscribe, aka join the channel. And this is what the branch has, because we have multiple videos now. So we have a channel, and that's where all our videos are hosted. So that you're not just looking all over the internet for them, all in one spot. So for example, if you missed the November meeting when Deborah spoke, you can go back in and you can watch it from the comfort of your home whenever it's convenient for you. So again, I encourage you to try it if you have not tried it. There's no commitment on your part. It's free. All you have to do is make yourself an account. It costs nothing. I don't even think that YouTube asks for a lot of information. So like I said at the very, very beginning, I'm barely just skipping through, and as Colleen mentioned, we could go into detail about Google, Facebook, all the platforms that are out there and do another full presentation on how to use it for family history. So between the five of us, I hope you gathered a new tip or a new tool that you will use in your genealogy toolbox. And I'd like to thank Colleen and Merv, Donna, I think she's online, for all their tips and tricks, and hopefully you learned something new tonight. Does anybody have a question about Facebook or our YouTube channel? Anybody gonna go home and try it? I'll have to tell you a story. Like I said, I'm from Wheatley. My grandmother Taylor is 94 years old, and every year, my parents and my aunt and uncle, they all go to Florida now. Well, grandma was left home by herself, and we just have grandchildren, I'm pretty far away. So she's getting very, very lonely. So we tried to encourage her, get on the internet, you can email everybody while they're down there. So last year, for the first time, she got internet, she got on Facebook, and she is loving it and using it like crazy. So if a 93-year-old lady can hop on the internet for the first time, everybody can use it. Thank you. Shirley, I'll turn it back over to you, Shirley.
As you found out from us too, once you get started talking about genealogy, and once you get started doing genealogy and conducting your family history research, there's no stopping us. And I discovered that if you finish what you're going, you start somebody else's anyway. I know I was talking to Jean the other day, you were doing something from Kentucky, is that what I understood? So again, we're really appreciative of all the people who came out today. We're appreciative of the people who shared their stories and their tools with us so that we have some new ideas and how to use some new techniques for the genealogy and tricks. And please do take my plea seriously. We really want people to be involved in our organization. If you are someone who thinks you have a skill to offer, please talk to me at the end before you head out. And we'll be glad to find ways to be able to use your assistance. So, does anyone have any last parting comments? And first of all, we do thank all of our people online. As you can tell, we not only share genealogy, we share fun here too. So, if you're ever in the area, or you want to just drive down from St. Catharines or Hamilton, you'll feel free. Well, this is a fun night. They don't have to go to work tomorrow.
6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
So anyway, Joanne?
I was just wondering, someone purchased from a farm sale in Charing Cross, and it appeared in the Channel paper a couple of years ago. I'm trying to find who it was, apparently the woman moved to Cancun, and it has to do with the Sons of England. If anybody has that picture or knows someone that has that picture, let me know.
So it's a picture of the Sons of England?
Sons of England, yes.
Okay, so keep your eyes open for that. That's the other thing we do is try and help one another find what we need to know. So again, thank you so much for coming. Have safe travels. Do not forget that we have coffee and goodies over here. Stay and share for a few minutes while we're cleaning up. Fran, something else to add?
Yeah, I need somebody to volunteer to bring goodies.
That was the other thing I had to do. I know when I started. Nobody leaves.
I need one for, well, I actually need 2 people for each month. I need one for next month, which is May, and 2 for June. So you can just let me know, and
please talk with Fran if you're able to help us out with goodies in either May or June, and we would appreciate it, because that's how we get the goodies here, is that we all share and take turns. So we appreciate those who brought tonight. And again, thank you so much. Thank you again to the council who's working on your behalf. They are the John Bunnies of genealogy right now. So go forth, have a good night, and genealogy.
How are you?